United stand. This is your latest Manchester United news. Lots to get into. Massive game for Manchester United today. I would say it's a must-win game with Liverpool, Chelsea and Man City winning yesterday. This is not just about top four as far as I'm concerned. It's about not letting those three teams go 20, 30 points ahead of us by May. We've got to start, and we've got to start tonight. There's no excuses on that one. But we'll be talking about Ralf Rangnick and his new assistant. We'll also have quotes from Michael Carrick. He did do a bit more of an interview than the one he did in the afternoon, so we've got some interesting quotes from him on that. Also, we'll be talking about the fan advisory board, which has been announced. A lot of people very interested in that, I know, and a few other things as well. But look, let's fly straight into it. I've got a bit of a cold this morning, actually. 18 months we've been in and out on lockdown, and I've not really had a cold. And today I actually feel like crap today. So apologies for that. I'm going to have to get a lot of hot water in me today and try and get better for tonight, because it's a massive game for United. I'm really looking forward to it. But let's start off. This is coming from The Athletic. I would develop what The Athletic are here saying. So The Athletic are saying that Manchester United already have a large amount of backroom staff. Rangnick will add one or two, maybe three, then assess what is in the building already. Their roles will be shaped by what he needs. A video analyst and a top assistant look likely. So it's looking very likely that Ralf Rangnick will bring an assistant coach in him. It was Konetka, wasn't it, that they were thinking about bringing from Lokomotiv Moscow, who I think was his video analyst, but then was being surveyed as the potential assistant. So I think this is quite interesting. I think I tweeted it there. Manchester United's, Ralf Rangnick's assistant is not going to be Michael Carrick. I think this is very obvious for many reasons, but if you heard what Romano said yesterday, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and basically talking about stuff from the training ground, Romano was very, very clear that this was, from within the club, that although Solskjaer has been sacked, there isn't really a buzz around the club in relation to it's the same people still doing the same coaching still. So there isn't this buzz around the club just because Ollie's been sacked, because as we know, Ollie was sort of thrown to the wolves, really. Ollie out of the club, oh, it's a new Man United. Well, it's not really, because Ollie didn't coach the team, and he openly said that. So I think behind the scenes, and in fact I know behind the scenes, that there are certain players that are just not happy with the coaching. So Ralf Rangnick coming in and keeping everything the same, even if he tries to implement a new system, which he will with the same coaches, he knows it can't just be him. He has to bring some people in with him, and I think an assistant coach will come in, and I doubt very much it'll be Michael Carrick. And the interesting thing is that whilst he'll bring one or two with him at the start, I think there will be changes gradually over the next 6 months as well, as he assesses what we've got, because certainly there has to be massive question marks over the entirety of that coaching setup. I mean, even Ramsey that we brought in the summer, that everyone thought this Eric Ramsey was going to be great and he has a really good CV. Well, to be honest with you, his specialism was set pieces. We've been worse at set pieces this season than we were last year. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and I look forward to Rangnick coming in and appointing his assistant. I sensed a lot of arrogance from Carrick's interview. Almost he was annoyed he didn't get the job full-time, delusional and needs to go, says Mark. We'll be talking about further comments from him because he does go into that a little bit more. Rangnick with the work permit is like when you used to get a Christmas present as a kid and had to wait until the day after Boxing Day to get batteries, says Pip United. I like that. Just very quickly, I want to bring this in at the start of the show because I do have quite a lot to talk about today about what Carrick said last night, which is new comments, as well as the game ahead tonight. But this is quite important because we are a fan community here. The Football Advisory Board has been announced by Manchester United. Now, you may not be interested in this, you may be interested in this. We have always had the Manchester United Supporters Trust and the Fan Forum, which is made up of match-going fans who talk with the club on, matters. So after the Super League debacle, obviously there's talk of these shares, but there's also going to be a fan advisory board now. So they've announced the people on the fan advisory board, and I've read around a lot. I think some people are very positive about it. I think some people are saying, well, they don't represent me. It's just the same old people as normal. I would say that anything that enhances the discussion between the club and the fans is good. I would say that first of all. But the second thing I would say is that I don't like the Glazers in charge of Manchester United. So, better the devil I suppose. Because, we seem incapable of removing the Glazers from our football club. So you may as well try and have conversations with them. I mean, I looked at the makeup of the fan advisory board before I went live, and I looked at it yesterday. So the vast majority is, you've got 2 from the fan forum. There's about 4 from Manchester United Supporters Trust. There's a women's supporters club representative, and then there's a couple of people with sort of match going fans with specialisms like they're lawyers or communications experts. So look, again, it's just a massive amount of people who are match going fans, and I haven't got a problem with that really. But I just think, I'm not even going to talk about the fan advisory board, because ultimately I don't think we need to be making division in the fan base. Let them do that if they want to do that. There seems to be a lot of people in this fan base who want to divide and tell everybody they're better than everybody else, and I'm certainly never going to do that. So I'm not interested in that. What I am interested in from a club point of view is that they never seem to quite get it right, do they? And this is where you come in. With the Super League, that was very much about turning your back on the local fan and going to the franchise of Manchester United and the worldwide fan. With this is very much about pleasing the local fan and up yours to the worldwide fan. And they never get it right, because the fan advisory board is made up of UK fans, majority Manchester fans, but UK fans. Some of them actually live in London and are match-going fans, but mainly made of match-going fans, which is absolutely fine, because they're the hardcore of your fan base. The home and away are absolutely fantastic. But how many millions of fans do Manchester United have that don't go to matches worldwide? We've got like official Manchester United supporters groups in all around the world, in India, America, Australia, all around the world. Why can we not put if we can have official Manchester United supporters clubs? Why can we not put 1 or 2 from around the world on the fan advisory board? Why can't we have the chair of the Manchester United Supporters Trust from America or one of the ones from India on that fan advisory board? Why can we not be diverse and inclusive of our worldwide fan base? My granddad started supporting Manchester United in the 50s. He's been dead, over 10 years. And yet, still as a football club, we're not an inclusive football club, in the sense that we've got a fan advisory board that only caters for a couple of 100,000 people who go to matches. And yet we've got millions and millions of fans worldwide who are basically waking up this morning, if they're asked, and going, well, my voice doesn't matter then, does it? Because I don't go to matches. And I think that's where the club have made a massive mistake. They champion themselves as being diverse, but they've just completely turned their back on the worldwide fan base. And I think that's the only shame, I would say. And people say, well, I actually had somebody say to me this morning, well, it would be very difficult for them to attend the meetings on a regular basis. The meetings aren't every week. They'll probably be quarterly, so you could fly in. But Joel Glazer does it on a Zoom call, so they could have a Zoom call either. It's a cop-out. They could easily have had people. So I'll be very interested. I think it's a positive to have the fan advisory board. I've got nothing against the people on it, because I know that they're all passionate people about Manchester United. Do I think it's a diverse selection? No. Do I worry that it could become very tunnel visioned around certain topics? Yes. Do I think it takes into account the big world that we live in now? Do I think they understand things like social media? No. So I just don't want it to become elitist, like we know better than you. And I think the way you stop elitism, and we've seen it in the wider world in relation to a lot of matters recently, the way to stop elitism is to be diverse. And to be diverse, you must have representatives from as many different areas as you can. And that is just very UK centric, and I think that that's a shame, because we've got huge support around the world, and that's where I think the club have missed out massively. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's a fair few complaints about that, because there is no diversity on that at all. I mean, to be honest, there's only one woman on it, I think, and that's because she's part of the Women's Supporters Trust. But diversity isn't just a gender, is it? Diversity is, in football, it's the wider world. We don't just have Manchester players with a Manchester manager. We don't just have UK players with a UK manager. We're a worldwide football club with a worldwide fan base, and I think the sooner they get people from the supporters trusts, or they don't even have to be from these supporters trusts, I'm just saying it would be a good start, wouldn't it? Thanks for raising this point. Respect for you, buddy, says United Voice. It's gatekeeping 101, Mark. Players at Premier League clubs come from every corner. Broadcast revenues come from all over the world. Only folks in Greater Manchester can be real fans. It's a joke, says Ayush. Well, I don't think the Fan Advisory Board will think that, and that's why I've aimed it at the club, because I don't, this is our Fan Advisory Board, and we want to be, we want them to do the job that's important for everybody. But it does feel very tunnel visioned by the club to just go. The fan forum was always for match-going fans, and this Fan Advisory Board seems very much for match-going fans. Nobody's saying that match-going fans are not the most important. I mean, you might agree with that, you might not. I think they're massively important. But we've got a huge fan base and they're not being represented. So, I think it's a shame. But let's see, there might be some developments on that. Are there any other captains in any other league that has been relegated 4 times? Here we go with the Maguire stuff. Do you feel Rangnick will sense Carrick's arrogance as soon as they meet? Hope he sacks them all, says Emmanuel. And hey Mark, thanks for the super chats. I mean, there was a great point this morning. I read it this morning about Harry Maguire. So Michael Carrick's 3rd game today. Massive game today. Let's look at some of Michael Carrick's quotes actually. So massive game today for Manchester United. I'm worried about it. I'm concerned. I think we will win. I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to stick with it. But I think it's a massive game for us, and I'm worried about it because I don't think Rangnick's got much to do with it. Some people think he does, some people think he doesn't. But if you think about the Villarreal game, he dropped Bruno. If you think about the Chelsea game, he dropped Ronaldo. If you think about the Arsenal game, he should be dropping Maguire because Maguire couldn't play against Chelsea. I'm absolutely 100% sure Harry Maguire will leave that team out with the captain's armband. Explain that to me. Explain that to me. So you can drop Bruno for playing badly for the Villarreal game. You can drop Ronaldo because, well, I don't really understand why he did it, but he did it. But Harry Maguire, who's been awful for weeks, will walk straight back into a team that defended really well against Chelsea. Explain that to me. And it's not a Harry Maguire witch hunt. It's like, why would you change your centre-backs against Arsenal when they played fantastically well against the team that's top of the league? For a player that's been very bad recently. Why would you do that? And I think he will do it. I don't actually have the answer for you, but it's interesting that he can drop Bruno, he can drop Ronaldo, but he won't be dropping Maguire tonight. Not at all. So why is that? I don't have the answer. I don't know. I just thought, I nearly fell off a chair. I don't know. McFred and Maguire incoming versus Arsenal, says Mark. So let's have a look at some of Carrick's. So basically, when they do the press conference, it was at 1:30 yesterday, and then they'll announce some at 10:30. Now, the one at half one yesterday was just absolutely terrible. But there are some more quotes from Carrick for us to work through. And look, again, he was asked about Ronaldo, and he was asked about the myth that Ronaldo does not play in pressing teams, and he just said it's a myth. Maybe it is a myth. Maybe that's how it is. He's played in enough teams over the years, being successful to play in a variety of ways and keep scoring goals for the team. So I think he's spot on there. And he said, I'm sure he'll continue to score goals. But he says there are a lot of things you have to take into consideration. That this was about Ronaldo not playing against Chelsea again. There's a lot of things you have to take into consideration when you make a decision on picking a team. Some players bring things to the table. Other players bring other things to the table. You have fitness, tiredness, freshness. There's tactics. There's personality and character within that. It seems like it's a big decision to drop Ronaldo, but really between us and me personally, it wasn't. I went to do my half-time team talk and he was warming up 10 minutes in advance, ready to come on in the second half. I think a lot can be made of it and spinning it in a negative way behind the scenes, and the reality is very, very different. But look, Michael Carrick, you're the boss. If you want to drop Cristiano Ronaldo, that is up to you. But you cannot keep coming out and saying it's not a big deal. Ronaldo was fine about it. Lots been made of it. It's been turned into a negative. That's managing Manchester United, mate. That's why you're not up for the job. Because this is the second time in that interview he's spoken about Ronaldo and said the same thing. It wasn't a big deal, at the end of the day, you've got different... Yeah, we know all that. But it is a big deal to drop Cristiano Ronaldo in the biggest game of the season away to Chelsea. It's always going to be a big deal. And what I'm saying about that is he's telling us it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. Not because I say it's a big deal. Not because he says it's not a big deal. Because Cristiano Ronaldo is the biggest player in the Premier League and you've just dropped him. That's always going to be a big deal. If PSG drop Lionel Messi for a big game, it's going to be a big deal. If Liverpool go and play at Stamford Bridge and Klopp decides, I'm not going to play Mo Salah, it's going to be a big deal. And that's where his inexperience as a coach comes out, because that's the second time in the same interview he's basically lost his cool or composure because he's going, it's not a big deal. Me and Ronaldo spoke about it's not a big deal. And Ronaldo's just being professional. I very much doubt Cristiano Ronaldo, when Carrick told him he's dropped, threw his boots on the floor and went mad. You know, he's a professional footballer of 36 years, at 36 years of age. He knows how to conduct himself. But you're telling me that I'm Cristiano Ronaldo and Michael Carrick tells me I'm not playing against Chelsea. I'm going to be composed and say, okay, that's on you. I'm here when you need me. But inside, I'm going to be absolutely gutted because you want to play in those games. So, you know, I don't know what Carrick's point is there. Oh, Ronaldo was fine with being dropped. Bullshit, was he fine with being dropped? He might have been professional about it, but he's never going to be happy to be dropped. And you're always going to get a backlash. It's almost like Carrick thinks, well, if I drop Ronaldo, no one should say something. But it doesn't mean him dropping Ronaldo was bad, by the way. That's his decision as a manager. But that's the whole point of being a manager. Look at what Ollie's been through for 3 years. Every team selection, every press conference, every comment that's come out bad because he's not thought it through is analysed. And that is what Michael Carrick needs to realise if he wants to be a manager. So, interesting there. Mark says, De Gea, Shaw, Maguire, Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, Fred, McTominay, Bruno, Rashford, Ronaldo, Sancho. That will be the team. So easy to coach against, says Mark. I think you have just picked the team there. Welcome to the Members Club, Chan. Thank you very much. So just a few more comments from Michael Carrick here. So in relation to injuries, we didn't find this out at all yesterday. Eddie Cavani is back on the grass. Get him off the grass. We don't want to get him addicted. He's working outside with the strength and conditioning guys, so he's back on the grass. He said it again. But what he means by that is he's not on the old wacky backy. He's on the old grass training. So Edison Cavani's back on the grass training. I would say he's not back until the probably the Norwich game, maybe the Young Boys game. Doesn't sound like he's anywhere near being available tonight or therefore for Sunday because it's a quick turnaround. Rafael Varane is a little bit further away and Pogba is a little bit further away as well, so nothing too immediate, says Carrick in there. And look, I think that, you know, that's a little bit disappointing in relation to Rafael Varane. We certainly thought he might be back around the Chelsea game, and maybe if Ollie'd been in charge he would have been, but it seems like Varane's injury, they're actually taking a bit of time on it this time, so Varane's not going to be back. I mean, to be honest with you, if Varane wasn't going to be... Pregesh says Ronaldo new assistant. What are you talking about? Rangnick's new assistant, mate. I'll come back to that in a minute. You've made me lose my train of thought. So yeah, I think if Varane could have been back for these games against Chelsea and Arsenal, that would have been a big boost. But you want him to be back fit. He's clearly not back fit. Looking at the fixtures coming up, you know, you've got Norwich and Brentford and Brighton and Palace, and, you know, really just make sure Varane's fully fit. We don't want to be rushing him back and him getting injured again. So yeah, well, that's what we've got to see. Also, this is where he spoke about Ralph Rangnick again. He said that I'm sure that the players are looking forward to the days and weeks ahead. Players adapt. There are different skills and styles you want to have. We have played different styles since we came here. We haven't played different styles since we came here. We've always been counter-attacking, and I would say probably over 80% of the games we've played is fair, isn't it? We've been a counter-attacking, pragmatic, slow-tempo side, but, you know, Carrick's got to try and make it sound different, I suppose. He says there are different skills and styles you have to adapt to. We've played different styles since we came here. Ralph has terrific pedigree over a long period of time and has good success with that. I think the players have the right attitude where almost irrespective of who is in charge, the responsibility of the player is to prepare yourself and be ready for the next training session and game, especially at a club like this where we have 3 huge games. I think the players have the right attitude. I mean, what is Carrick talking about there? 3 years he's been at the club. We've taken 5 points from 24 and he's talking about the right attitude. There's clearly not the right attitude somewhere, is there? But it's almost like, in fairness, I suppose you've just got to look forward. But because we haven't got the manager in, we're still very much attached to the past. But, you know, hopefully that's going to change very soon. He says you've got to be ready as a player. And to be fair, the boys are there. It's not always been easy and it's not been free-flowing football all the way. But we've shown another side and obviously we need to keep showing that. Let me just analyse that. It's not always been easy and it's not always been free-flowing football all the way through, but we've shown another side and obviously we need to keep showing that. We do need to show that tonight. It certainly hasn't put me in, and then he goes on to say about management. This certainly hasn't put me off management in the future. Certainly hasn't put me off, but at the same point, I'm not suddenly desperate to become a manager. I'm realistic and the experience has definitely helped me from the lows and the sadness of Ollie. Bang! Told you! I'll have the point, please. In the full press conference, he did mention Ollie. There we go. We were on about this yesterday morning. Would he mention Ollie? He did. I'd take that as, yeah, we'll have that. So I'm realistic, and the experience has definitely helped me from the lows and the sadness of Ollie leaving to having to adapt and getting through the games. It has been a challenge, but one I've enjoyed. And you're never certain of what roles you might be good at or not good at. That is life experience. You have to go through it, learn from it. I've certainly learned through this week, says Michael Carrick. I mean, look, to be fair to Carrick on that one, some people would say, well, you've been doing that job for 3 years, what have you learned? He has been training the team for 3 years, but he's not been doing press conferences for 3 years. And I think that's obviously an added responsibility because, yeah, obviously he has been leading the coaching. Michael Carrick has been leading our coaching for the last 3 years with Kieran McKenna. Mike Phelan and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer don't do it. So if you want to look at where it's gone wrong in a playing sense over the last 3 years, Michael Carrick and Kieran McKenna are the first two to take a look at because they train the team. But when he's trained the team, he probably puts his slippers on and goes home and has a hobnob. Obviously this week he's been training the team and then putting his tracksuit on and going and doing a press conference. So it is different. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people in the chat saying that it's very clear that Carrick doesn't rate Rangnick. I think that reading the comments of Michael and looking at his comments yesterday, I think it's just very clear that he's boxing clever. You know, he doesn't know whether he's staying or not. He doesn't know whether he's part of the future. So he's very much like, well, look, Rangnick's got his own ideas. At the moment, I'm doing my own thing. The players are going to have to be adaptable. I'm sure it's going to be an interesting and exciting next few weeks. As we understand it, Michael Carrick will still be at the club. But as I said, as a headline at the start, The Athletic are saying that Rangnick will bring 2, maybe 3 people in with him. And that is expected to be a video analyst and an assistant to help him get his style of football across. Because as Romano said yesterday, there are still murmurings from the training ground that the players don't feel there's any change at the club because the same coaches are doing the same coaching. Which was always going to be the case. We sacked Ollie nearly 2 weeks ago, and the same people who coach the team are still coaching the team. I can't say it enough. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer didn't coach the team. The people who coach the team are still there. So you can understand why some of us are worried about tonight. The atmosphere is going to be massive. There will be a positivity around there, and Rangnick will be in the stadium, so that will give us more of a buzz. Players should therefore be looking to impress that manager, but I do worry. I think this game will become very clear in the first 10 minutes. If we start with a high tempo and create chances, I think we'll go and win the game. If we start with a low tempo and Arsenal develop confidence, I don't think we will win the game. So it's just I think tonight depends on the players because the coaching's still the same coaches. So it's not like we're going to get a tactical masterclass. I don't think we're going to see that. In fact, we don't know whether Carrick will go quite defensive and pragmatic because that's what he's done for the last 3 years. It's really about the players and how much they want to impress the manager, because if they really are up for it, and look, it's like, you know, we've all played football when somebody wants to impress is watching. You know, it could be a girlfriend, it could be a boyfriend, it could be your granddad, who knows? You know, we all have different reasons to impress people, and you know, United players tonight have got that, knowing that manager's watching them and that there is change coming. Hi Mark, do the players have to listen to Carrick and McKenna? I'm sure they can go on strike, says Mikael Roach. Why would they go on strike? Don't know. But like, I've said it many times. I think that with if Rangnick had been in charge and taken the training from Tuesday, I would have been very confident of us getting a result tonight. The fact that we're being told he's had no touch point on this team at all worries me, in the sense that I think that, you know, Arsenal's record over the last 10 games is 7 wins, 2 draws and a loss. Our record over the last 8 games is 6 losses, a draw and a loss. So, you know, the form is with Arsenal, and I think so much of this week has been about United and Rangnick and being up for this game. We've probably not spoken about Arsenal enough, and maybe Arsenal quite like that. And I certainly think Arsenal will be more confident of winning this game than they would have been if we had Rangnick for the last 2 days. So it's a difficult game, and I think people who are going for a draw probably are probably quite correct to sort of go for that. Lockdown Martial was fire, should start against Arsenal, says Lewis Clark. I don't think... We've not had any update on Rangnick's visa yet, actually. But maybe they're not going to announce it until tomorrow or something like that. But I don't expect anything amazing in the team tonight. I think we will see De Gea, of course, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire and Shaw, which is the back five from last year. McTominay and Fred, which is the back six from last year. Bruno, which is the same as last year. Rashford, the same as last year. And then, what's not the same as last year will be Ronaldo and Sancho. So, 9 of those players are going to be the same as last year. And I think the tactics will be the same as last year. I think we'll try and keep it tight and get a goal. And hopefully we win it 1 or 2-0. But I think it's funny, actually. I don't know whether people agree with me on this. I think when you look at Ollie this season, it just didn't work like it did last year. He tried to do the same thing. He tried to counter-attack. He tried to keep clean sheets, but it just didn't work. I think what Carrick's done in the last 2 games is take us back to last year. Last year we got a lot of good results in tight games, fine margin games. And look at that Chelsea game at the weekend. That's fine margins. If Rudiger buries that, we've lost. And we're all sat here saying, why is Rangnick not in charge? He ends up getting a good result from a fine margin game. I think Villarreal was about fine margins for 70 minutes, and then we had the quality to win the game. So I don't think tonight is going to be any different. I'm just hoping that we get a prime last season result where we win it by 1 goal or 2 goal in a fine margin thing. I really don't think we're going to see anything different from a coach that coached us last year and this year. So I think he'll go with what he knows. Some people might think, well, we're going to press really high up the pitch and dominate them. If that happens, how can it happen unless Rangnick has trained the team, which we're told he hasn't? Rangnick incoming, says Swap Neil. And does anyone know where I can get a second-hand Arteta out shirt for Christmas? Apparently there's a few gone missing, says Mark. Thanks everyone who's watching, by the way. Please smash a like on the video and subscribe. Why is Carrick still here, says Barath? Because the club has messed it up, really, in the harshest possible way. I suppose they've messed it up. They've got a manager and they've not been able to get him into the club. So apparently Luke Shaw might not be available for this game, we're hearing as well. So I don't know whether that's true. I mean, that's a long time to be out for Luke Shaw. The concussion was against Watford, wasn't it? So he's missed a week and a half, and concussion protocols, I think, are 7 days, aren't they? So he's been, it's been a long time, hasn't it? Or was it? No, it was Villarreal. Was it? He got hurt. So I don't think that is good news. I mean, I think I worry about Tellez defensively. I do worry about Tellez defensively. Do I think Van der Beek will start? No. Apparently the visa lady at the Home Office is a Scouser, says Mark Perelez. He's on form today. And imagine Ronaldo was dropped again. He won't drop Ronaldo again. He won't. He won't do that. Carrick will outlive Rangnick, says TML. I mean, I don't think Carrick's future at Manchester United is in jeopardy at all. Going back to what we were talking about from this article in The Athletic, that Rangnick's likely to bring an assistant and video analyst in, which are the 2 most important roles to him. Michael Carrick's still going to be on the training ground, and he's going to have to, obviously adapt. But you could see Carrick being here in 10 years. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if United are thinking, oh, Carrick could be our manager. And I wouldn't be surprised if United are thinking about giving Carrick the job in the summer, because that's the sort of stupid thing they might think of doing. I mean, that would be ridiculous. I'm sure it won't happen. But at some point, I'm sure he'll be back in charge of United, whether it's an interim or whatever. But, if Michael Carrick wants to be a manager, he needs to go and manage Stockport or something like that. Go and learn your trade. I'm just not a massive fan of managers being dumped into Man United jobs. I mean, go and get a CV first. Like, that's what needs to happen. And, Steven Gerrard's going to be Liverpool manager at some point, isn't he? He's been to Rangers, won them their first title in a decade. He's gone to Villa. If he can get them anywhere near the top 6 consistently, that will be more than a good apprenticeship to get them go and do the Liverpool job. And I don't know why ex-Man United players feel that they can just walk straight into a job. If Carrick's got the manager bug, then he needs to get out of United, because he's not even going to be assistant coach anymore. And maybe that's what he will do. Maybe Michael Carrick is intending to go and do that. Ronaldo may play with extra vigour today. says Kay. And will Ralph have influence in today's game? I don't know. We will know based on the team selected and the way that we play. But, there is a slim chance. There is a slim chance that United are saying, we've had no talks with Rangnick. Carrick said yesterday, I've not spoken to Rangnick, but realistically, we've been training in a different way. We've got a different formation, and we just, it'd be an ambush on Arsenal, wouldn't it? Because us as fans don't think it's going to be anything other than a Carrick team. So imagine if it's a different team and we're on the front foot and we're pressing high up the pitch tonight. That would be very interesting. But I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't think it's going to happen. I think we will play pragmatic United. Look, the reality is, if Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof are playing, we're slow at the back. We are slow at the back. And if Luke Shaw's not playing, if our back four is Telles, Maguire, Lindelof and Wan-Bissaka, I think De Gea's going to have a worldie for us not to concede. Because you're going to have McTominay and Fred in the midfield as well. I just think Arsenal will create chances the way they play. It could end up being a high-scoring game, actually. We'll wait and see what happens. But look, thanks everyone for watching. I'm feeling like absolute crap. I need to. If anyone's got any tips on how you feel better from a nasty cold, that would be nice. Had a crap night's sleep last night. My nose won't stop running, and I'm just going to pump myself with some vitamin C. I think that's a good idea. Yeah. Ginger water, says Darwin. But we will be live tonight, and we'll have a show for you this afternoon as well. But it's a 8:15 kickoff. I've got about 10 hours to get match fit. So we will be live for the watch along tonight. We've also got the road trip with Adam coming up this afternoon as well. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'm really excited about the game tonight for many reasons. Mainly because we need to win. Also because it's Carrick's last game. So let's see what happens. Pregash, thank you very much for the advice. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll speak to you all in a bit.